So this one is a 1935 Mathis from France. And this is one of Sean's personal favourite cars. So I'm going to pass you over to Sean and he's going to tell us all about the car.
Hey, so my name is Sean Mathis. So as you can tell, this car is made specifically for me. Not really, but I didn't know Mathis existed. They don't, they aren't prevalent in the States. In fact, in my research of trying to find one, I've learned there are two. There is one at the Tampa Bay Automobile Museum, which is a three-wheeled concept car. That is actually the Mathis I was first introduced to. And from that car, I tried to find a Mathis somewhere in the States. They do not exist. Every once in a while, they pop up over in Europe, but that wasn't really going to do me any good. And I was down in Tampa, and I was a judge at a concourse show, and the Tampa Bay Automobile Museum people were there. And so I know them, obviously, through the whole museum world. And I went and talked to him. I'm like, hey, just so you know, like, I know you've got a Mathis. Are you aware of any others? And she's like, actually, this guy just snail mailed us a packet trying to sell us his Mathis. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And they don't want it. And so she sent me the packet. I get it. I see that it's this 1935 Mathis. There's pictures in there. I reach out to the guy. The guy is in Melbourne, Florida. I tell him who I am. I'm Mathis. My name is Mathis. I'm hunting for one. I want to put it at the museum. Um, I was like, can I come see it? He's like, oh yeah, no problem. I go down and I was like, I prefaced it just so you know, I can't actually buy the car. I want it for the museum, but I want to see it. And he's like, yeah, no worries. So I get down there. I actually take my son with me. Um, Actually, I didn't take him with me. I took him with me when we went back for it. But so the first time I go down there, I meet him. We take a ride in it. He tells me his whole story about the car. I tried to get him to donate it to the museum, but he was going into a retirement home that was very expensive. So he's selling his house. This car needed to go. It was giving it away wasn't going to be an option. So I was like, well, I can't buy it, but give me an opportunity to raise the funds as quickly as I can so that I can ensure that it comes here to the museum. He's like, you're golden. Go ahead and do that. I come back up to Georgia, and I immediately start putting in the work to try to raise funds to get this car. Within 30 days, I raised enough money to purchase this car. I contact the guy, and he tells me, great, it's yours. Come down and get it. So that's when I take my son down there. We go down there, and turns out he, in between that time of me meeting him and coming and get the car, he had taken this car to an event. And I think he said the director of the AACA museum actually tried to buy the car from him then and there. But because I had went and talked to him a month prior, he took great pride in denying the AACA museum the ability to purchase this car, because apparently years earlier, under different management, he had uh, tried to sell them the car and they weren't interested. So it's kind of I would have never gotten this if I wouldn't have gone down the first time. Um, this car, the history on this car is fascinating. How you see this is how I got the car from the donor. Well, he wasn't the donor, from the second owner. So he purchased this car while serving in the Air Force in the French Alps in 1957. He purchased this car from the original owner, who was using it as a tractor at the time. He said that this thing was caked in mud, and he was out there in the field just doing whatever he was doing tractor wise with this car. But he had purchased it from him, and then for the next 3 years, he drove this on and off base. This was his vehicle. In fact, this, where is it? It's on the front. This is the tag from France. But this particular emblem right here, this is from his base. So this is what got him on and off base until 1959, when he had this car shipped back to the States. Now, when he did, it was put on a ship and they actually strapped this car down. And when they did, they crushed these. And so these parts have been reproduced by, I think it's somebody in his family or something. They were 3D printed and they were replaced. But the rest of the car, that is all original. However, the paint, what's fascinating about this paint, this is the original color, but this paint job is from a rattle can a couple decades ago. He did this himself, which is pretty neat. Um, I mean, when you really look at it, you can see the flaws in it, but that's not what this museum was all about. It's about the story behind this car, and him rattle canning this car decades ago is part of this car's story. Um, I've done the most research I possibly can, and this EMY4S is the only one in the United States. And as far as Mathis's go, it's this one and the one at the Tampa Bay Automobile Museum. Now, this particular car, because it is a part of the museum now, this is the one that right now we don't have an enclosed trailer. So it's very difficult to take it to events, but this is the car that I want to use for different uh, big concourse events and that kind of stuff, because nobody knows what this is. If you're familiar with Fords of this era, it looks a lot like a Ford that's been kind of roadstered, like it's just slightly off. It looks like a chop top, but it's not. That's factory. The top comes up, and it's a slick looking car. The bumpers, all that, it looks very similar to Ford, but it's just off because the whole car is metric. So you couldn't just slap a Ford bumper on there if you needed it. It's just a little 4-cylinder in there. It does run and drive. To get it going, you can see in there's actually a fuel shut off underneath there, which is what that rag is catching. High tech right there. But it's push button start, which is underneath the gauges. So you turn the key and then it starts with the push button. I think it's this knob here. It's a manual transmission, but this car, once it's in gear, you don't need to use the clutch anymore, which is kind of a neat aspect for this car. You got a bunch of literature here. This is pretty cool. This is actually stuff that people have sent me because they know we have the Mathis here and how much this car is special for me. These are just things that people have actually sent. And then I put them with the car so people can see them. Yeah, actually, this is due to leave the museum here sometime soon. And just like I said, we've got to get an enclosed trailer so I can safely transport it somewhere. Because although I can put it on the open trailer and take it somewhere, inevitably it'll be filthy or not quite secure. There's windows here. This comes up and all that, kind of closes up, but it needs to be enclosed when we take it anywhere. But that is the goal with this car. And it's pretty neat that this is a permanent part of this museum. This is a car that I share the last name. It's the only one in the country. We raised funds to get it. It's technically a 3-owner car. This right here, outside of my grandpa's '59 Cadillac Coupe de Ville, this is the one that is most special for me in here.
So although it's leaving the museum, it's coming back.
Leaving in the like, even there's an event next month that I was asked to bring this specifically to. Like, this is the one that people want me to take it to places, and until we've got proper transportation for it, it's going to stay here.